Hello, everyone, and welcome to the panel Leveraging Investor Interest to Develop the Crypto Ecosystem. We have with us Mr. Sandeep Melwal, who's co-founder and Chief Operations Officer Polygon, Mr. Vikram Subburaj, who's co-founder and CEO of Geotas Cryptocurrency Exchange, and Ms. Tarusha Mittal, who's COO and co-founder of OroPocket. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vaishnavi.
Tarusha, let me begin with you. Globally, VCs are gravitating towards crypto, and the deal structure in India is also witnessing a growth. Now, what are the factors leading up to it? What is acting as a catalyst for it?
See, there's been a lot of interest, right, of late in crypto, and especially in India, we are seeing like kind of a resurgence in terms of all of these exchanges and all of these platforms kind of doing really well, and they're going out and putting the message across. So obviously that's piquing a lot of investor interest as well. Investors are always looking for, their interest kind of goes wherever the capital is, and wherever their interest is flowing, that is where the capital kind of flows. And their interests are piqued because there are a lot of Indian platforms and Indian entrepreneurs that are doing really wonderful things in this space. We've always been very at the helm of basically any kind of technological innovation. Like Indian ecosystem is there supporting at the back end, but with the crypto sector, it's a little different this time around. I think Indians are kind of leading it. There are so many Indian entrepreneurs doing wonderful things. There are platforms like Matic, which is now Polygon, and all of these exchanges that are doing so wonderfully well, that investor interest has been piqued. I believe that is mostly why now even traditional VCs are looking at it, because they know that crypto and blockchain are here to stay, and they can see that a lot of long-term solutions, and there are entrepreneurs that have been there for one or two crypto cycles are the ones who are building. So these solutions are going to be here to stay as well. So it's too good an opportunity to not dabble in, I believe. And now they do see that there is more benefit as against perhaps the risk that they thought that was earlier associated with crypto.
All right, that's a good insight that we have in the catalyst acting in favor of us. But if you talk about building an ecosystem for crypto, which is the next logical step with all the interest that's coming in, what would make it stronger? And what would an ideal crypto platform look like to you?
So, that's like very broad, I think, because an ideal platform, because, there are so many solutions, right? There are different kinds of protocols, there are exchanges, there are DeFi platforms, and all kinds of solutions that are being built. There's NFTs now, and, there is just so much that is happening in this space. So I don't think there is any way to define an ideal crypto platform. I do think that, crypto would have come of age when the UI UX is really strong. Like our game is very strong there, and the user is not even able to tell that they are really performing certain actions, and it's happening on, say, a blockchain, and it's completely seamless in experience. So I do believe that is the point where we will have mass adoption, and that's the point where we will see massive growth and surge in this space as well. But again, there is no definition of an ideal platform. I think that you should really be building something that is actually solving a real problem for people who are there across the globe. It doesn't have to be limited by geography in any way, but if you're actually solving the real problem and you're able to scale it with a good team, then there is no reason why your product won't do well. And again, like if you are able to crack the UI UX bit, which is something that I think in crypto and blockchain we are still lagging, because we are very new. There is nothing wrong with it. We think of like email, in the early days it was really complex to just send out an email. Now then, the UI kind of became so easy that anybody can send it. So I always say that if my parents are able to use a particular piece of technology, then it has come of age, right? If I don't have to explain it to them. So I think crypto would come of age then. And yeah, we should strive towards making the user experience better. But ultimately, I think, the very foundational things are the same with any traditional business. If you're solving a real problem, if your users like you, your community likes you, then there wouldn't be any stopping you.
Thank you, Tarusha. Noted on the user experience part. Yes, Vikram, let's come to you now. If I were to ask you the same question, how do you leverage the incoming investor interest in building an ecosystem like Tarusha also mentioned? What would you have to say?
So there are two different dimensions we'll have to think about here, Vaishnavi. See, one is the tech that is getting developed, and now there are users who are showing interest, but there's a need to onboard these users into this tech. Right now, tech is moving at a faster pace in this industry. There are many industries which are getting formed within the crypto ecosystem, right? Like DeFi is an industry as such, NFT is an industry as such. Now the spoken about thing, the metaverse, is another industry as such within the crypto ecosystem. Now, if you notice, each of this industry within the crypto ecosystem is growing huge, right? The opportunity that is there in each of this industry is getting huge now. Quick example, right? The DeFi space, a year or year and a half back when it started out, the value logged in that space was less than $10 billion. Now we are talking about 110, $115 billion where the value is logged inside. Now the ongoing gaga that is happening about the NFT now, a lot of people, they just started hearing it. They're trying to see how to get into this, right? Or is it for them? The key question is, is it for me or is it for not a techie who's just sitting in front of the laptop? He's doing something for his gaming or something, right? So the ecosystem that is going to be built has to make sure that a lot of these people who are looking just onlookers now into this industry, they have to get onboarded into the industry, right? So for that, tech is being developed to ensure that there is a lot of advancements that will help, use cases to be built. But the onboarding part is to be taken care by either exchanges or people who offer services like DFT platforms, or there are dexes which have come into being now, or there are marketplaces which have come into being for NFTs. Now these people have to ensure that the onboarding of users happens in a seamless way, right? Now, for example, what Tarisha was saying, right? UI and UX was one of the key factors. The other thing is, now you'll have to start looking it out from a mindset of, for example, how an e-commerce company started, right? Now, we never believed that you can buy any durable or white goods from an e-commerce platform, but they made sure that the users were okay with buying all that now. How did that happen? That happened with a series of interventions these companies got into being, right? Now, the same level of intervention, right? One key thing could be something as simple as a very good customer support, right? If you have to find or know about anything that is related to crypto, and if you have a exchange or this platform who you can just quickly pick up the call and say, hey, I'm facing this problem, can you help me out with here? That will create also a change, right? Now, the ecosystem that ideally has to be built around should consider two things. One, yes, technological development, which is happening, right? We see a lot of these projects which are coming into being. As the first question, what you had stated, how are the VC interests, why they are coming in? The VC interest is coming in because a lot of the small industries within the crypto ecosystem are growing really huge, right? Now, each of this industry, when they grow huge, they will attract the VC investment. Now, that will take care of the VC investment in the early seed stage, will take care of the technology being developed. Now, the next set of VC investment which is coming in, right? If you noticed in this year in particular, the majority of VC investment have come to exchanges internationally and even in the Indian ecosystem. Now, these VC investments ideally should be directed towards taking care of this customer onboarding, adoption of customers, to get into this ecosystem. So that is how even the VC investments should be, panning out, right? Ideally, that is what even we are seeing, and that's how I envision the ecosystem to be developed. Tech is getting developed now. We should focus more on onboarding people into this tech.
Got it. So the focus should be on onboarding, and I agree, because customer is at the center of anything, no matter what we do. But then what are the challenges currently? Where are the gaps in the existing system, and how do you navigate those, and how can it be resolved?
Yeah. So see, now at the end of the day, we should again look into this ecosystem as two different things. One, it is a technology at the end of the day, right? The other way, we are viewing it as an investment asset or an investment class, right? Now let's just split these two as two different things and try to see this industry. Now, when I'm looking this this ecosystem as just a technology. As a matter of fact, this technology has grown so fast, right? The innovations that every single year this tech is bringing in is simply amazing, right? Now, a small example, in 2017, when a lot of these ICOs came into being, what people saw was a lot of these ICOs are coming in, they're going bust. A lot of these seems to be rug pull, a lot of economic losses happening. That's from economy point of view. But from a tech point of view, imagine, you know, you're able to quickly build a cap table within a matter of 30 minutes. People around the world are able to invest into a project, and equity transfer between one person to other person is also happening instantaneously. This is tech advancement, right? One part, yes, you know, a lot of economic loss happened, but from a tech point of view, this is huge, right? So this industry from a tech point of view has been growing at a tremendous pace. Now imagine all the updates people are talking about right now. One of the key things when people anyway when they talk about crypto or Bitcoin has been, you know, for example, something like a proof of work where mining is involved, electricity is being wasted and everything. But a lot of projects are working on that, right? Ethereum, for example, as simple as no, sorry, not as simple as Ethereum, for example, is working on proof of stake, you know, which could solve a lot of this problem. I think Matic is trying to solve something which could again help the transactions get much faster in this ecosystem. Now, the tech advancement that is happening in this space is much, much faster than any other industry that you can ever see, right? That is from a tech point of view. Now, the challenges you were asking about, right? Now, this advancement of tech should in turn get into being, or it should in turn translate into implementation, or it should get translated into some use case being resolved, right? That use case that it is trying to solve, people want to see it happening right away, right? One of the key things that people say is, you know, you guys talk about crypto and everything, but where's the use case, right? The adoption is only on investment. Where is the use case, right? I don't see that use case happening. You know, there if you split and see, all those crypto projects which are trying to solve crypto specific use cases are doing good. You know, Matic is the best example. They're solving a problem in the Ethereum chain, right? So that's why they're growing better. Those projects which are trying to solve a use case which is in the traditional industry, be it a finance or be it, you know, for example, a social media or everything, all these products are taking some time to gain adoption. This will take its own time to adopt. You know, there could be a lot of reasons. One could be, you know, stiff competition from the existing players. The other thing is, you know, how do they, the core thing is, how do they handle the transactional limit or the number of transactions at which they can process, right? So all that is coming into play. Now that part where they're trying to alter or find a use case for traditional industry will take some time. So that is a challenge. The use case that has to come in there to solve a traditional problem will take some time. So that is a challenge in that area. Now coming to the investment part, right? From an investment point of view, let's get it very straight. These are all new products. This is something like, you know, investing during, for example, your IT boom time, right? Now, there will be 1,000 projects. Out of the 1,000 projects, there could be a Google or Facebook or an Amazon that could come out successfully, right? But for these 3 projects to come out successfully, there could be 1,000 other projects which has to fail. So that is the same thing which is happening here. As an investment class, you'll have to try to see how you have to maintain your crypto portfolio, right? Now, this education is required in this space. Now, usually when we talk about crypto, the first thing that is said in the crypto space is it's highly volatile. It is something like gambling. Don't enter into this space. Now, as a matter of fact, I usually say, you know, we are the new bad boys in the town who have made the equity or stock market players look like the good guys in the market. You know, the safest players in the market, right? So, but it's not like that, right? Now, at the end of the day, there is a risk and there is a return. So, since there is this risk, you'll have to ensure that in your portfolio you don't cross a 2% or 3% and stick to that. Now, even in that, you'll have to maintain different portfolios. So, this challenge of educating the user on investment, right? That is the challenge now, and that is what ideally a lot of our crypto exchanges are trying to do now.
Correct. So there is a new bill coming in, and there is going to be a discussion about it, about the regulation of the whole sector. How much of it is going to happen? What is going to happen? We're still exploring. We don't have much details yet, and we are going to get there. What are your thoughts on it? And when the news first broke out, what was your reaction to it? Or in retrospect, what you should have done? Or how are you preparing yourselves? What has been your entire take on it? Who would like to go first?
I can go first. I don't have a, yeah. It's primarily, see, I think I've done, I've been bitten before. So with the RBI circular that had come in 2017, I had to kind of shut down my exchange. So Mohit and I were co-founders of one of the first Ethereum exchanges of India. And, in 2017, we were hit really hard. We were hit really, really hard. And it broke my heart because we worked really hard to get that exchange to a certain level. And we hadn't raised any money. So we were not sitting on a lot of capital. We couldn't really move our operations abroad. And the banking support just stopped. So I've been bitten by, policy before. So obviously, I think any crypto entrepreneur who has seen one or two cycles in this space would tell you that, they are building, keeping that in mind, right? Keeping the risk in mind. They would probably have structured their corporate entity a certain way, or they might be, they might already have like a plan in place in case, something like that does happen. So I think crypto entrepreneurs who are building are a little more savvy this time around, as against, say, to 2017 when, this happened and, the ICO bust happened. So I do feel that we are a little better prepared regarding the law itself that's proposed to be, the bill that will be tabled this time around in the session. I think that the policymakers have become a little savvier as well. And I think as an industry, we are hopeful that something good will come out of this. And obviously, as I said, that, we've been asking for regulation. And now that the government is regulating it, we can't expect that, it'll be completely smooth. There will be a lot of iteration and, there'll be back and forth. But because policymakers are ultimately looking to protect the end user, then this is the way to go about it. Obviously, I have made the stance very clear in lots of places that I don't think banning is an answer. First of all, you can't ban crypto, like it's decentralized. That's just, it's an idiotic statement to make that, okay, I'm going to ban cryptocurrencies. That's not going to happen. The best what you can do is that you'll be pushing this into a gray market. Like, we've seen it with Nigeria. They tried to, do this entire ban thing. And Nigeria, I think, has like the second largest volume of crypto being traded every day or whatever. So I don't think that can happen, but I think that, middle ground is the way to go about doing it. And if you are trying to protect the end user, then, you better regulate it and with keeping the industry stakeholders in mind and what they are saying, rather than, straight off saying something very probatory, because that wouldn't really be, it'll be a hassle to execute like no other. So we are hopeful, as again this is a lot of speculation. I think there is a lot of speculation around the bill, and I can't really tell you anything definitive till I see the bill myself. But yeah, as an industry, we are hopeful this time around that the policymakers have educated themselves too. They understand that there are other countries that are kind of trying to regulate it and create frameworks that would make innovation at the helm of their economic growth. And I really do believe, as a baseline, that India is in a very, very strong position right now to become like a pioneer, to become a country that is actually at the helm of crypto innovation. And we have some really, really very intelligent people. Like, I'm humbled every day by the intelligence of the entrepreneurs I see in this space. And the Indian ecosystem, I feel that the government should just, really take the bull by its horn and ride it, because we have this very beautiful chance to actually, redo that entire internet thing, that this time around we would be at the helm of it and not like some other nation with the right policy in place. So I'm hopeful. But having said that, I don't really have any definite answer on which direction that would be going. I would like to see the bill before, perhaps adding any more comments.
Thank you, Tarusha. Vikram, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, in the last 10 years, I think this is the first time we're at least hearing a news that the government is planning to regulate, right? So this is something amazing, right? I mean, obviously, we would want to see the bill to understand how they are going to regulate, how intense it is going to be. But at the end of the day, if the idea is to regulate and safeguard retail investors, then the industry is happy. Right? The industry is very happy to follow any process or procedures that could help the retail investors at the end of the day. And if the idea is again to handle AML and counter terrorist financing, we're very happy to do things like that. As a matter of fact, most of the Indian exchanges are following self-regulations, right? At least people who are part of BACC, at least we at least have made sure that certain key processes that we follow during our KYCs and monitoring customers, right? So why we did it, even though when there were no regulations, is we want this industry to grow to a larger level in this country, right? So we took in that additional burden, even though there was no requirement. So now when the government is going to say, okay, you guys, why don't you start doing it now? We'll be happily doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, if you see, there's going to help the industry grow. Not just in the point of view of the customers investing in this space, but also in the point of view of a lot of projects might also start coming up from India, right? And that ideally would help the ecosystem grow on a greater level in this space. Now, even though there are a lot of projects, a lot of crypto projects that are coming in, there are not much of projects which are trying to solve India specific issues right now. You should start building in or start supporting those startups which are trying to do that, right? India specific agri issues, India specific supply chain issues, there are quite a lot, right? Now a lot of people are in the blockchain are trying to solve it through a blockchain company, but they're so worried to take it up as a crypto project per se. Now we are hoping that, I mean, I'm not sure if the regulation is going to talk about all this, but even though, if it is, even though preliminary, if it's going to talk about KYC and AML, still it's a good way to start. Yeah. So it is more like, we've been in a non-regulated crypto desert, and we're suddenly finding some water from the government. So we are happy. Anything that comes in, we are happy.
Sure. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you, Tarisha, for those insights. Hello, Sandeep. Welcome to the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Sandeep, when we're talking about building an ecosystem for crypto, what would you suggest that makes it stronger and scalable for businesses in India?
I think there are 2-3 major, building blocks for the ecosystem. The first and foremost is basically the community itself, which includes both business centric as well as development centric people. That means developers as well as the entrepreneurs, and sometimes these things overlap also. The developer themselves are starting up something, so obviously that community is a very big aspect. Then apart from that, I think the second main major thing is basically your funding environment. That is, I think, is very, very important, because you might have a lot of developers and ecosystem players, but nobody is actually backing them, and then it becomes very difficult for them to scale. So funding would be the second thing. And third thing, I think, is slightly less tangible, but not like tangible in the sense that you also need to have ideals or idols in your industry, right? Some people, some teams who have already done it, and then you can follow the path, and somebody has stated the path and all that. So I think that these 3 things overall I think are a decent ingredient. And then obviously, like in the context of crypto and in some of the other industries also, regulatory clarity also is important, because it might deter a lot of if you don't have clarity, then it might deter a lot of competent folks to not do anything about it, right? So these 4 things together, I think, form a very solid ecosystem.
Yeah. Thank you for that insight, Sandeep. What do you envision as a long-term or mid-term changes coming up for the crypto sector?
You mean like Indian sector or like global sector? You mean?
Parallel for both of them.
Okay, so in India, I think obviously we all have been talking about some regulatory clarity, which will result in a lot of like retail as well as various entrepreneurs from our top B schools, top technology schools to come into the industry. So that's very important part. Second part, the funding part is, I think, is already a lot of that is actually a bit sorted, because crypto basically solves these boundaries. So these crypto VCs, they are able to fund Indian projects from using crypto out from outside. So that is very important, and that funding ecosystem will remain very important. And once this clarity is coming, I think a lot of VCs, like the traditional VCs, are looking to jump into the crypto bandwagon, and that would be also really cool. Um, and by and large, like this, like recently government saying that, okay, this is regulated, you can do this and this and that, I think is now kind of positive environment generally, also socially. Like previously it was very difficult to do this, like I mean, when I was getting married back in 2018, my in-laws never really never really understood what exactly I do, and they all they always ask, is he legit, is he legit, hopefully he's not doing anything illegal, because those days, like the media headlines used to be, oh, Bitcoin is illegal, crypto is illegal, this is for illegal activities and things like that, right? So that also will get resolved a bit, and result in a positive environment overall.
Sure. Thank you for that. And what do you envision as the growth for Polygon in the coming days?
For Polygon, the most important thing right now we are looking at is our ZK platforms to launch, and we have been really working hard on that for the last 6-8 months, and we believe that by Q2 next year we'll be able to roll out some of our ZK products. And adoption wise, Polygon is already amongst the top projects globally. And with these innovative solutions now coming into the market from Polygon will establish itself as a very strong contender to be one of the topmost platforms in the space. So zero knowledge rollups and zero knowledge technology related stuff that we are doing is the most critical driving factor for us in the coming days.
Now there's a new bill coming in for crypto, and we're still exploring what it contains and what it means and what it would come to mean for both innovators and for the end consumers. What's your thought on it, Sandeep?
As of now, I have not been able to look into the bill, that what exactly the bill is proposing and all that. But by and large, I feel that one thing is that crypto is now being regulated as an asset class, which is a good start. I mean, I understand that it should not be, as an Indian geography, if you start allowing it as payments and all that, people are going to misuse it or whatever. So I think that's also a good step. And I've been always a big sort of proponent of regulation in India and crypto, because we can't be too free with crypto, because we have a big background of like black money and corruption and things like that. Then if we allow, let's say, crypto very fast, that can also create a lot of chaos within India. So it's good that government is progressing towards the positive crypto regulation in a step-by-step manner, because we have to protect our retail. There we know that with these previous like chit funds and all these kind of schemes, so many scams happen in India, right? And if we allow crypto fully, I mean, that might create a lot of environment where a lot of scams can grow, and we have already seen some big ones like One Bitcoin and things like that. So, or Gain Bitcoin, I don't know, there was some named scam in the Bitcoin side of things, and there are small that keep coming out in the past. So government has to protect retail. So that's why they have to create these ecosystems where these securities frauds and scams and all these things don't happen, and then curb them, while also paving a way where we are not fully kind of detached from this new revolution and the new reality that is approaching us. So I think that's a good step. But they have to iterate very, very fast on this, and then create some systems, and build your infrastructure around it, and then move to the next stage of reforms and convergence. That's what I would expect from India. And also, like, I mean, till now in India, the discussion has been primarily around crypto as an asset class or this financial asset. What I would now like to see is how Indian government now approaches this Web3, which is like, after mobile and mobile apps, this is one of the biggest innovations, right? So how Indian government is going to approach Web3 is, what I am looking forward to. So let's see how it goes.
Sure. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you for that insight. And thank you for taking time out to come on this panel and share your thoughts with us. We look forward to the developments at Polygon and also on the crypto. Thank you.